What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully, you guys are having a good day today. It's hump week, middle of the week here, and we got some extra clarification, extra details on what's happening for the weekend events or the remainder of the Titan events. So let's jump right into it. First things first, they're going to launch a couple of the boosted drop rate events during the corresponding events in the Titan event. So on the spider event, so spider turn attack, we're going to have boosted 3x on Bannerlord accessories. And then the ice golem turn attack, again, it's going to be boosted reflex gear. And then on the Fire Knight turn attack afterwards, it's going to be 3x boosted stun gear. Now, honestly, these are not super exciting or anything like that. And it just means that if you're completing the tournaments here, these turn attack tournaments, you basically just get the Titan points and then you're getting out. You're not really committing any more energy or anything like that. Unfortunately, we do have gear hunters paired up with some of these dungeons, so you probably will need to put a little bit extra energy into some of these dungeons so that you guys can finish off the gear hunters. Plarium just not giving us any boosted drop rate incentive to spend more energy, unfortunately. Now, Plarium also announced that there is going to be a progressive event paired with the Pirates Path event. It's happening at the same time during Thursday. So on Thursday, March 26th, we're planning to launch a progressive event giving you at least 15x chance to summon the following champions from Ancients, Primals, Sacred, and Void Shards. Some interesting champions here. It seems like kind of like nearing the last hurrah for the Assassin's Creed collab champions. We can quickly touch upon some of them here. We've got Kassandra, Basim, we got Ezio, Helior, Cupidus, Bayek, and Pontiff, and Ursuga. Now, I will say that if you're just starting off in the game, any one of these champions will be massive for your account. They're just generally very strong champions. Even somebody like Ursuga, who's considered not very good anymore by anybody in the late or end game. As an early game carry, she's still very, very strong. So any of these champions are very good, but the best of the best here, and especially because it's a limited champion, it's going to be Bayek, and he's going to be a super prize here for a 15x. So if you're close to Void Mercy, he's definitely worth the gamble. After that, I mean, for the non-voids here, we got a free champion, Ezio. It's crazy because we were talking about the best Assassin's Creed champions, and honestly, Ezio is probably the second best champion compared to the first place, which would be Bayek. Bayek would be the first. But the reason I say Ezio is the second best is because he's good for so many different types of players. So early game players, late game players, end game players. I mean, he can still be useful. Like even for myself, I was using Ezio as my main damage dealer for Sacred Auras in hard faction wars because I just lacked a consistent damage dealer. And for beginner players, you don't need awesome gear on Ezio to make him do a lot of work for you. He's great against bosses. He can do some wave stuff. He has some durability or self-sustain. So that's why I would say he's the second best assassin. And then he was free, which is the best part of this Assassin's Creed collab. So breaking it down further, we have Kassandra, which was the first fusion during this entire collab. And then she's the first Argonite. She's not bad, but I don't think she's like an early game friendly champion. She has a potential 6 hitter on her A1. Sure, she can help for Fire Knight, especially like normal Fire Knight and stuff like that. This ability, sure, she lands decreased defense, HP burn, but she really needs to hit. If you build her with no damage, like no damage gear, just as a support champion, she's not going to do that much for you. But if you build her as a damage dealer, she can actually pump out some pretty good damage. She has ways to keep herself alive. This is a little bit inconsistent because it's a 4-turn cooldown. If it was a 3-turn cooldown, I think it would, it's arguably maybe too strong, but on a 4-turn cooldown, I think it's a little bit too weak. Her passive looks impressive, not that impressive, but it's not bad. It's all balanced into her kit already. She has low base attack, so her multiplier is not going to be crazy, and even with this boosted passive, she's not going to hit super, super outrageously hard. But she's not a bad champion, especially against bosses, but she needs good gear. So that's probably her big thing that makes her a little bit worse for newer players. For the Banner Lords here, we have Edward. I want to say Edward, quick shout out here because he is part of the Pirate's Path. I don't consider Edward the second best Assassin's Creed in general, just because he is very gear dependent. He's a damage dealer. Yes, you can use him for PvE content like Fire Knight and stuff like that. Yes, you can put him in deflection gear and he can remove mercurial stacks. But his main thing is probably this A3, and he still has to place the perfect veil on himself to not need accuracy to do some of the cool stuff on his A2. But he's not part of this progressive event. But I would say, Edward, if you're an end game player, he's the second best champion. But as an early game player, Edward's not going to be super helpful for you, I think, just because he does need good gear to do what he needs to do, right? That brings us to Basim. Basim here from the Sacred Order, Basim. I had the option to go for Basim in his deck of fate. I actually passed on him. I don't think he's actually very interesting, to be honest. I don't like his passive. It's an on hit on himself to do something that's very not significant, I think. Um, and he's a squishy attack based damage dealer. He's not going to survive many hits, so his passive is just not going to be very good. This ability, it can hit hard, does require a little bit of setup. He does place Veil on himself, which is good. So it's not too bad. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, which is kind of average. And then this ability, it does hit pretty hard if he has Perfect Veil on, because he ignores 30% of the target's defense. And then block actives is very useful, very strong debuff, but that requires him to have accuracy, and he has no ignore accuracy condition. He does have a ignore 25% of the target's resistance condition, which means that you don't need as much accuracy to do his stuff, but you still need accuracy. And accuracy basically takes away from damage stats. His base attack is not super impressive or anything like that. It's very normal or actually below average, maybe. Losing stats to accuracy, because it is what it is, right? You just lose a bit of damage. And his A1 is a double hit weekend with a debuff spread, chance to debuff spread actually. So it's not super amazing or anything like that. Requires a bunch of books, 12 books. Honestly, I think he's one of the worst. He's one of the worser ones. Probably up for debate whether he is worse than Kassandra, to be honest. But there's nothing really wrong with his kit. There's nothing really wrong with his kit. It's a fine kit, but in 2026 in Raid, a fine kit's just gonna get vaulted, right? So that's Basim. And then we have Helior from the Banner Lords here. So we got Helior. Helior, I mean, he's not too bad, but he's not going to be somebody that, somebody chases during a progressive event. It's got an A1 here, increased defense, and a heal on himself. His A2 here on a 3-turn cooldown is an AoE attack with a shield. I mean, at this point, 2026, this is a really weak ability. And then on the A3, a 3-turn cooldown, transfer all debuffs from all allies to a target enemy, then attacks that enemy with the default skill, converts this champion's resistance into accuracy. Where I can see this could be useful is if your whole team has poisons and then you transfer all those poisons onto the boss, for example, like, Hard Dragon, for example, right? That could be kind of useful. His passive, whenever an ally has 2 or more debuffs is attacked, this champion absorbs 30% of the target's damage inflicted. Now let's be real. If you're if you're beyond the early game, this guy's not going to be too helpful for you. Requiring books, all this stuff for the setup for this. Yeah, it's just his book value is awful. You're probably going to be zoned in on this ability. And if you don't really have a specific use case for this ability alone, then he's just not going to be very useful. His passive is just too weak at this point in time. So I don't think he's going to be very useful for most players. After that, we got the Sacred Order going down here. Whoa, how come I clicked? Skinwalkers, we got Sacred Order here. Cupidus. Cupidus is useful. He has decent, base stats for an attack-based damage deal, 107 base speed. He's got an AoE A1 with a conditional damage boost. He has an HP burn on an AoE as well. It's a 4-turn cooldown. It's not the best, but it does give him a little bit of utility, applying an HP burn on an AoE. And then he has a self buff as well here. His passive, he's going to be pretty good if you have Venus on the same team. Now that's going to be pretty tough because Venus is a void champion. But if you have them, then you probably played them together. They play pretty good. They're in the same faction and all that stuff too. So that kind of works out for like faction wars. Cupidus, not too bad, right? If you have good damage gear, he can help you out in like those condition specific levels, like in Centranos or something, or of course Sacred Order faction wars, he can be pretty good. And I mean, even in Hydra, if you need him just for a little bit of damage, like he can fit in on some lower level, lower tier teams, just as a generic damage dealer. But he's not bad. He's not bad. After that, we're going to jump into the Void champions. I did mention Bayek before briefly. He's the best champion in this Assassin's Creed collab. And yeah, I would chase him if my Mercy was not used up on my last Void pulls for Rack of Valtide. A little bit of a unfortunate event, but yeah, Bayek, amazing champion, great passive. Not game breaking passive, but it's definitely a tricky passive to play around. He has really solid, reliable kit that helps everybody's. His A1 leech helps early game players like clan boss and just bosses in general. He has an AoE provoke on a 3-turn cooldown. That's going to help all sorts of players early all the way to end game. Decrease accuracy, decrease resistance, lowers the gear requirement to do the whatever content he's in. And then he also brings increased accuracy, increased defense, and these also lower the gear requirements that you need for a lot of the content. And then Perfect Veil. Perfect Veil covers a lot of things: Hydra content, Chimera content. Yeah, great base stats as well. Can hit hard. You can gear him in a couple different ways. I've seen people play him. I think I kind of like him like probably 9-piece Mercurial, super tanky, so he survives forever. So his passive just goes on forever, but you could build him in damage and he can actually do some okay damage for you. But yeah, super interesting champion. Teams are built around him, and I don't think he's going to be like power crept that easily because this passive is just, unique and good. So that's going to be Bayek. He's definitely going to be a top draw if you're drawing for void shards. After that, from the night revs, we have the past event boss. The event dungeon is over, but Pontiff Augustin, he's going to be available in the void pool after this collab ends. He is part of this boosted progressive event. He's not a bad champion. I like him. I think he's good. 110 base speed here. He can be a speed booster for you. He has a nice aura here, 24 speed in all battles, so you can use him in siege, arena, dungeons, bosses, etc. He's not a bad champion, right? He's going to open with the A3, increase accuracy, and then intercept on all your allies. Intercept is still really good, protects you from, a lot of stuff, a lot of CCs. And then a nice turn meter boost here, 25% into an extra turn. So effectively a 3-turn cooldown ability, very strong 3-turn. And then he'll go into this ability, his A2, which is a 3-turn strip and 100% chance to land in snare with a pretty big turn meter pushback, 25% turn meter pushback, up to 40% if they fill these conditions. Now Ensnare basically shuts down turn meter boosting effects. So if you put 100% Ensnare on the enemy, that means any kind of turn meter stuff that they're going to apply to themselves is no longer working. I mean, it's a form of crowd control, right? But it's not like, it doesn't disable them. It doesn't disable them. They can still kill you with their A1s. They can still get a turn and do, whatever ability, their A2, A3s. It doesn't disable them at all, right? It just shuts down the turn meter stuff. So it makes them a little bit slower at getting their turns back. I don't think this is a great crowd control Ensnare, but this ability still is quite reasonable, right? It's a 3-turn ability with a strip and a 25% turn meter pushback. And then the Ensnare is kind of on top. Ensnare is also going to make him susceptible to like polymorph and stuff like that. But it's not a bad ability. It's still a decent ability. His A1 has a block active, single target, 100% chance of landing block actives with a turn meter steal. Block active is going to be really, really strong. But I think the best part about Pontiff is his passive here. His passive reads, allies receive 25% less damage from enemies under block damage, unkillable, veil, perfect veil, stone skin. So assuming that your enemy somehow goes first, they might have block damage, stone skin, and then they're going to hit you. Your ally is going to receive 25% less damage. That's good. That's solid, right? It's just passively there. This is really good part about his passive though. Each time an enemy receives a buff, is healed, or has their turn meter filled, these are things that happen all the time. Has a 50% chance to decrease the duration of all their buffs. 50% chance, all their buffs, not one buff. This is really strong, right? Because buffing, healing, turn meter boosting happens all the time. We have masteries that heal you like almost passively, like Shadow Heal, for example. You don't need to do anything and you're healing because your enemy's healing. Your turn meter is filling because buffs and debuffs are falling off. So yeah, this passive is going to happen all the time. So 50% chance of decreasing the duration, which is not great. 50% is, not super reliable, but it's nice to have. It's a passive. There's no cooldown on it or anything like that. And I think effectively this just softens up the enemy team quite a bit. So I think it's a really, really strong passive. I think he's a good champion. I don't think he's busted or anything like that. You probably just build him fast, get the turn meter stuff going, increase accuracy, can help you set up your, lockout champion or strip champion or whatever. And then you can come in with the strip, ensnare them, push back their turn meter, and then your team will get a go. Now, again, the problem here is going to be Mercurial Set. Mercurial Set's going to cause all sorts of problems for every single champion. You have to consider Mercurial Sets when you're looking at champions kits now. Pontiff, he's going to struggle, right? He's going to struggle against the Mercurial Sets. At least this is his A3 has some buffs here, because I think the rest of his kit's just not going to perform very well against Mercurial. Yeah, he's not going to be able to land in snare. You can't strip Mercurial off, and then you can't do the turn meter stuff through Mercurial. So he's going to have some big problems there. Obviously, I much rather prefer like a turn meter fill here, but then he already has it here. He has some benefit with the A3 against like a full Mercurial enemy set or team, I mean. But yeah, this A2 totally removed from the fight. Really, really unfortunate. But otherwise, I think he's still a good champion. He's going to be helpful in like PvE content as well. He's a good aura for just general content. He's a void champion as well. But in terms of progressives, like it's probably just going to be Bayek, right? Bayek over anybody else. The last void champion here is going to be from the Barbarian faction. And we were talking about her a little bit earlier, Ursuga. She's, she's a tank, right? She's a tank. She got a passive here. It's kind of like a small damage sponge. She's going to take up 30% of the damage you get from crits. She has ally protection and strengthen on a 3-turn, which is very it's reasonable. And then she has a 3-turn AoE decrease crit damage, decrease attack with the potential on decreased speed and decreased defense as well. Like if she lands all 4 of these on 3-turn cooldown, she's pretty nuts. And this would probably work against like support champions or defense-based damage dealers, I guess. I would say most champions have defense higher than attack unless you're a specific attack-based damage dealer. So yeah, this is not a bad ability on a 3-turn cooldown, and her A1 is a block active skill, which is pretty solid. So nothing too exciting, but she's not a bad tank, right? Good base stats here as well. She's super fast, 108 base speed for her. She's very, very agile. Doesn't skip leg day, obviously. But that's it. That's going to be the news for the upcoming weekend events. So we do have a couple boosted drop rate events. So they announced that. And then we do have this progressive event that's happening alongside the Pirates Path event. Now, I would be pulling some shards myself because I will be going for the Titan event points. Keep in mind that there's going to be 400 Titan event points in that Pirates Path right here, 400 of those. So if you're still going for Pelops 5-star soul, you still need to get at least 150. You have to get at least 150. You can only skip 250, but you have to get at least 150 from here. And that's assuming you don't miss any other event. All right, so you still need 150. And 150 is probably going to cost, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Probably about 8. I would say 8 would be, like a standard 6 to 8. I would say 6 to 8 would be like a standard summon rush type event, especially if they're going to make it mandatory. I would say the minimum price is at least 6 sacred shards worth of stuff. It's a 4-day event. It's a training event, so you can squeeze in some training, save yourself some sacred shards, save yourself some shards. So I will be doing at least that during the Titan event, and I'll be getting a 5-star soul for Edward because I do have Edward on one of my accounts. And then on my other account, I'm probably just going to straight pass on Edward completely just to conserve resources for future events. Maybe I'll throw some void shards and chase Bayek again. There is one more weekend. There's one more weekend, and I would imagine that weekend we're going to have the winner take off for Pontiff, most likely, and maybe Bayek's Soul. Bayek's Soul has yet to be offered as well. And then if they offer Pontiff, then Pontiff's Soul would also be up for grabs at some point as well. But the collab's running out of time. It's literally just next weekend. So we already know what's going to happen this weekend, but what's left for the collab is just next weekend. So they don't have much time to put in these events. There's still a couple things left, like I said, the souls for Bayek and Pontiff I think should be offered. They've offered the event dungeon boss in every single other collab. So it makes sense that they would offer Pontiff here as well. As for the non-void shards, I probably pick Basim here because I don't have Basim myself. So that's probably what I would be going for. Kassandra I have because she's the fusion. Ezio is a free champion. Helior and Cupidus I already have already because they're pretty old champions, so there's no need for those guys. So that's going to be my game plan for the weekend events. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about all this. Does it change your plans for anything? Does it increase your excitement for the Assassin's Creed collab? Probably not. Yeah, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Thanks for watching until the end. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.